am Colleen Kelly, and this is Round Trip with Colleen Kelly, your go to podcast for unforgettable travel stories, top tips, and all the adventures you've been waiting for. And today we're with Suzanne Morrow, who is the CEO of InsureMyTrip. And, insurance to me always is like, okay, what's so exciting about it? But I have to tell you, really excited to talk to her because I was so confused about insurance. And I know most of my friends are. So excited to have her on the show and glad you guys are here. We're going to learn something. Hey everyone. So today I have a very special guest, Suzanne Morrow, and she is the CEO of InsureMyTrip. And why I am so excited to talk about insurance, which is kind of funny. I'm saying I'm excited to talk about insurance, but it is so necessary these days. And so Suzanne, I'm so happy you're here. So thanks for joining the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, before we got on, everybody, I was talking to Suzanne about how I didn't ever get insurance back in the day at all. I didn't even think about it. And you were telling us a quick little story that you weren't in this industry beforehand.
That's correct. That's correct. So 9 years ago, I wasn't working in insurance. And so when I started working at Insure My Trip, I knew nothing about travel insurance, never mind the need for it. I personally didn't buy it, was completely oblivious, and I would travel. And I'm now appalled that I spent all my I'm like, I was lucky. Let's just put it that way. I now consider myself lucky that I never actually needed anything that comes with the insurance.
Isn't that funny? I did the same thing. I think about it now and I'm like, did I actually travel without insurance back then? I did. But a lot of people did. We just didn't know. I mean, my parents got it because they were older. They always did. But I kind of was like, why would they get that?
Well, I
And
even
now,
questioned my
yeah.
in-laws when they came to my wedding. I was like, "You paid that much money for it? They're from the UK,
Uh-huh.
and they know that they need it. So it's a different perspective."
Yeah,
And I
see.
thought they were nuts.
I thought my parents were nuts too, actually. I was like, "Why are you wasting your money?" But
Right.
let's talk about that. Nowadays, I have been diverted. I have had to stay overnight places. I've had luggage lost, and I travel a lot, so I kinda think of myself as a little bit of an expert, but I can't control certain circumstances, so thank God for insurance, but it's very confusing out there. So first question, why should people get insurance nowadays? I know the answer to this, but, maybe you can tell
Sure.
everybody.
At a minimum, people should be getting post departure insurance, which is the travel medical. So, and the reasons why vary. So, the biggest part for me is if you're healthy, it's the assistance piece that comes with it. You lose your passport. You need to see a doctor for a sore throat, something very treatable, or what are you doing in a foreign country to find those services? So the assistance piece is 24/7. God forbid you need to find a hospital, you get hospitalized, you want to come home. Those sorts of things are all covered under this assistance piece, and it can get expensive really fast.
Oh,
So that
yeah.
to me is the unsung hero of any travel insurance policy.
Okay, so I was in Switzerland, doing something for my show. It was kinda crazy. It was like, paragliding, and
Oh,
I was in tandem. It was terrifying, but it was fun, and I, fell the wrong way, ended up in a hospital in Switzerland, with, like, a sprained leg. I was okay, but I did not have travel insurance, so that got very costly when I had to pay the bill. Not as bad as United States because it was a little less, but now, of course, having that security, like you just said, is really important. And one thing you just mentioned, which I didn't know, when your passport's lost, that's covered? Because I always think
the,
about that.
the assistance to find an embassy, to get your passport, or to travel without it. So it's that peace of mind of having someone that you can call that can walk you through what you do. So let's say you run out of a
Mm.
prescription, or your prescriptions get stolen. Um, the assistance company is there to help you with all of these things that people don't think about that could happen quite easily on a trip. So,
Wow.
and
So you have,
God,
like, a number or an app, or how does that work if something does happen?
sure, depending upon the assistance company, you could have all of the above, a number, an app, different ways to interact with them. There's always options to call toll free or to call collect. So, yeah, that again, that piece I can't say enough. I think why it doesn't get talked about is because when you're going on a trip, you're thinking about, oh, I'm excited, I'm going to go. You're not going like, oh, what if I get sick?
Yeah. Yeah, you think you're not going to, right?
Right, right. And that's, hope for the best, plan for the worst. Cruise ships, you get sick on a cruise ship, getting treatment isn't free. It's not free. They'll
Yeah,
charge you.
I've had a few friends that have gotten, sick on a cruise ship, and, they're kinda stuck 'cause that's their only option, and they've had some big bills coming to them because they didn't insure their trip. Could have been why. But yes, this is really interesting because, I didn't know that you had that ability to have assistance to find an embassy because like you said, if you're in international country, what are you gonna do? I wouldn't even know what to do.
Language
But
assistance is another big piece. So you're in a foreign country, you don't speak the language, you now need any sort of help. That's also part of it, is that translation services. So again, I'm going to go with it's the unsung hero of travel insurance.
yeah, I absolutely believe in that for sure. I that's what I'm learning right now actually, all these opportunities that might happen, and, if you have that insurance, you will be able to have that assistance, and just that peace of mind personally, just that you can
Mm,
call somebody. I personally like to call people and talk to somebody on the other line, is, like, priceless to me in traveling.
100%.
Yeah, yeah.
100%.
So, okay, now I wanna get into online travel scams because there's a lot of scams out there, and it's getting very confusing with AI. But before we dive into that, the one thing that I personally didn't know and I kind of learned was what travel insurance do I buy and what do they all cover? Because it
Sure.
can differ, correct?
Wildly. It can be
Yeah.
vastly different. So, InsureMyTrip was built back in 2000, believe it or not. So everybody told the original founder of the company that he was nuts. No one wanted to compare travel insurance. Thankfully, they were all quite wrong. Being the first online travel insurance marketplace where people can come and compare benefits and pricing and all of those things, our goal throughout these 25 years is consumer education. So, Americans, because we have privatized health insurance, we're the only country in the world that has privatized health insurance. We don't understand what it means to not be covered when we travel within our own country and those sorts of things. People don't think about out of network expenses, different problem. So, I think part of the goal here, we also have a call center. And we have a call center because it's a complex purchase. To your point, it's confusing to people. They
Mm.
don't fully understand it, and even being able to see the side by side comparisons. So you can chat with a licensed agent, you can call a licensed agent, and I keep saying licensed because they have to be licensed in order to talk about the specific benefits that are included in an insurance policy. So we try to make it as easy as possible for the consumer because every trip has different needs and concerns. That's the other piece of it. It's like not one size fits all of your trips either. So,
Yeah, that's interesting because, I've looked online, like you said, and then I'm like, "Okay, wait, this one does this," and the fact that you have somebody you can call and again, that's just me, I have to talk to the person and have them walk me through it. That's amazing because I need that, and insurance is a
yep.
world that I don't understand, and like you just mentioned, I might be going to Texas, and I might need this kind of insurance, or I might be going international, and or you can buy for the year if you travel a lot, so I know that you could do
Mhm.
it individually, correct? Or just say,
Correct.
I travel a lot, so this just kinda covers me for the year. Can you
Right.
tell us the difference between that? Because some of my friends travel twice a year, and some travel all the time.
Sure. There's two different flavors of what is commonly referred to as an annual plan. So you have your annual plans that have that trip cancellation and some of those benefits, and then you have your travel medical, which typically is called a multi-trip plan. So travel medical is always your post departure, so it doesn't start until you leave your house. Whereas the trip cancellation that starts if you buy today, it starts at 12:01 tomorrow morning. So what the reason why is because it has cancellation benefits. So if you get sick or injured before you even leave, that's when it gets enacted. So that's the difference between the two. So your annual plans are good if you're going on multiple trips in a year. One word of advice with annual plans is you may need to consider additional travel insurance depending upon the trip and what your annual plan actually does cover. So this is where you start to get into the insurancy, like know what you're buying and really kind of have an understanding of, because I'm going to say a very insurancy thing here, aggregate limits come into play with annual plans. So if you've claimed something on a trip during the year that you're covered, you want to make sure that when you go on your next trip that you still have enough coverage under that annual plan. So there's
Oh,
complexities to these things.
okay, but that's when you call the advisor,
Yep,
right? You say,
100%.
"Okay, this is what I'm doing now. What do I need in addition to this?" You know,
Absolutely.
my parents, I'm gonna take them back to Ireland. They're 8 in their 80s, and the insurance plan that starts beforehand in case somehow we had a I mean, they're in their 80s, so things can happen. So if we had to cancel
Absolutely.
before we go on the trip, that to me is peace of mind right there because I don't know with 84-year-olds. Hopefully, we went on a trip to Ireland. Everything worked out great. No luggage was lost. Nobody got sick, and that was a dream vacation last year. But to know that I have that ahead of time in case somebody does have to go to the hospital, that's big. That's what we buy because yeah, we wanna know right away that if we have to cancel a
100%.
trip, it's okay, right? We're not gonna lose everything. Okay, so let's talk about travel scams. That there's so much confusion, and that's why I'm so glad you're here talking to me. Not just about travel scams, but AI. So what are, like, the most common scam tactics online? And can you just talk a little bit more about that? Because that's
Sure.
another road I don't like to go down, but it's a reality.
It is, and full disclosure, I got sucked into a shady website. I purchased something, tried to return it, and it was all sorts of like fraud. And if I had done
You
my
did?
research, I did. I did not for travel, but I'm just saying, like I was like I bought something based on what I had read, and then had issues when I tried to do a return. Anyway, if I had done a
I've done
little
that.
bit of research, I would have known better. But so, first and foremost, know who you're interacting with. So, we're seeing things like chatbot agents that are claiming to represent luxury agencies with zero credentials, um, TikTok testimonials that are from fake influencers directing people to fraudulent booking sites. Review profiles that repeat identical language, indicating bot generated content. So there's lots of,
Oh
to
my
your point, there's so much out there that looks so real. So real.
that's
I mean, I get
terrifying.
texts from what looks like my bank. It comes up as my bank's name. It looks legitimate. They're getting very, very talented.
Isn't that scary? It's
It's
very scary.
very
My husband just this week got, I mean, everything all of our his credit card, everything was, I don't know, like, what do you call it? What's the word again? It
compromised.
was thank you. It was yeah, compromise. So now he's had to go back and it's just kind of a nightmare trying to undo everything, but he clicked on something that looked real, and he's really good at this. Like, usually he doesn't, but it looks so real that, he clicked on it, and now, we've gotta undo all this mess. He's on top of it, but it really is scary, and I've done things too, like you just said you bought something. I've done that, I've done that,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm like, "I can't" it looks so real. Ho so
Mm-hmm.
how do people know, like, how do travelers spot these red flags when they want to prevent these scams
Sure.
before they happen?
Something that seems too good to be true is usually the first indication, right? So, like the deal of a lifetime, this luxury trip that, oh my gosh, the price is amazing. There's that pressure, the sense of urgency, buy now, react now, respond now. It's that it's not really a scare tactic. It's more a like, oh, this is so amazing, but you could lose out if you don't do something right away. So all of those, like if it feels forced, if it feels like too good, I'm going to go with too good to be true, right? Like
Yeah.
trust your instincts, pause, do some research. So I picked up a phone call because it looked like my bank. I know I'm going back to banking, but this is critical. And the guy was like, "Oh, it appears there's a fraudulent charge of blah 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 blah." And so um, their
Oh.
tactic is to get you to do something on your banking app and then give them the information over the phone. So yeah. So fun fact: this is
Oh,
why when you get the text with the number, the code, it typically will say your bank will never ask you for this on the phone. Trying to get people to get out of that, like I've got to do this. Like I have this sense of urgency, right? So if they're asking for unusual payments like gift cards or wire transfers, no, because those are untraceable and you can't get that money back. Whereas a credit card, if it's fraud, obviously you can do something about it. So,
right.
yeah, if it feels off, trust your instinct, do some more research, ask for credentials from whoever you're dealing with. Any respectable agent has there's a bunch of different credentials that travel agents have to have in order to be able to work in the industry. It's okay
And a
to
credit
ask for those.
Yes, that makes sense, and a credit card can be disputed versus a debit
100%.
card, that's even scarier, but so many of us use debit cards because 'cause we're like, "Oh, it's cash, and that way I don't have to deal with my credit card and pay that bill at the end of the month," which is helpful,
I
but,
I
no,
worked
not
in
in this case.
banking years ago. Don't use your debit card.
Don't use your
Don't pay
debit card,
for
everybody. That is good for viewers here that are watching this, don't use your debit, use your credit. Pay that credit card off, though, just FYI.
Yeah,
Sure you all
100%.
know that. Yeah. So,
100%.
can travel insurance to get back to the insurance, does that cover these type of scams, or is that more of a banking thing and
I
just we'll put it on
mean,
that credit card?
it can't prevent scams. It may offer some financial protection. However, remember, you're buying the insurance to cover what you paid, and then there's certain reasons like that they'll cover, right? So it most likely won't cover falling for a fraudulent site. That's why paying by credit card you have so much more protection because certain things don't fall under your insurance. It falls under other areas of coverage. So
Okay, so that makes sense. Just use your credit card, everybody, because you can dispute that, and that's helpful. And get travel insurance, of course. Let's talk about. Let's see. I'm trying to think of what else we can talk about. Oh, generational travel habits. Uh, everybody's
yeah,
different. Like I said, my
yeah.
parents travel in a different way. When I travel with them, it's different than when I go with my girlfriend. What are the current differences in booking trends, like by generation? Like, why might these trends be occurring and maybe you can tell us, like, maybe top 5 destinations for, traveling with different generations.
So our boomers tend to spend the most or insure the most. I shouldn't say they spend the most, right? Because remember, with insurance, you should only be covering the costs that are non-refundable. So if you're going to get a refund or you're going to be able to transfer whatever it is you bought first class tickets and they're transferable, you wouldn't then pay money to insure that because the whole idea is if the whatever you're trying to claim for, if they've made you whole, it's not an insurable event. Like it's not a
Mm,
claim, right?
okay.
That's something to keep in mind. So, top destinations, interestingly enough, there is some overlap between boomers, Gen X, millennials. We see the United Kingdom's in the top 5 for those three, actually, for Gen Z, even. So, the UK is very popular. Canada is another popular destination, pretty much across generations. So, there's definitely overlap. There are differences. So, Gen Z likes Japan is in their top 5.
Oh,
And
I keep hearing about Japan.
that didn't make
I
anybody else's top 5 list of
I
generation.
kn yeah, they're all going to Japan. I'm like, "What is going on in Japan?" So
Anime.
oh, okay. That's what I keep hearing, Japan. Okay, so really, that's their number
Yeah.
1, but not everybody else's.
It's not their number one. Italy is the number one for us for Gen Z.
Oh,
So,
yeah, who doesn't love Italy? Okay. I
it's
mean,
also the
yeah.
top one for Gen X. So
Really?
Italy,
So there's
millennials is UK and boomers is Canada for top.
Canada. I You know what? I love Canada.
Yeah.
I did my PBS show, several episodes there, and, it's just beautiful. It's also a great place to go, like, Quebec City. Have you been to Quebec
Mm,
City?
I
It
have.
it feels like Europe, so you don't have to go all the way to Europe, which there's nothing wrong with that, but that's a bigger trip, and you can go there,
Yeah.
and then the other thing is it's 30% off last time I checked. It might be changed as of this podcast, but, the dollar is stronger there. So we
Yes.
have every time I have dinner, a really nice dinner, I'm like, "Oh, this is 30% off." Or if I buy clothes, I justify it and tell myself it's 30% off.
Yeah,
So,
I think
interesting.
Canada's beautiful. And Canada did make the top 5 for Gen X as well. So, and it's to your point, it's close. You could drive from, depending upon where you live. I find Canadians to be very hospitable. I don't know how they will be right now with the current political climate.
Mm,
Whatever
yeah.
you do, don't book travel on Air Canada, though. They're having issues.
Oh, yes, I just heard about that. They're going on strike, everybody, but as of right now. Maybe when you hear this podcast, they won't be, but yeah, definitely avoid that as of today when we are
Yeah.
recording this. Yeah, so that okay, now getting back to Canada and UK and Japan, d all these people that are traveling very different places or maybe even domestically, are there different types of insurance they should look at? Or if you're going to Japan, you should look at this kind of insurance, or Canada, it's pretty close trip.
Sure. So anytime you're going more than 100 miles from your home for more than an overnight, you should always consider some sort of insurance, whether you're traveling domestically or international. Um, so that's my biggest thing. Like it's because even domestically, once you leave your home state, your out of network medical expenses, if you get sick or injured in a different
Mhm.
state, most people don't think about that. Um, Still, the assistance benefits are critical and important. So yeah, I think it
So,
doesn't really matter
anytime
what.
you just leave your home, basically.
Well,
I mean, yeah, you don't know.
funny. Countries like Japan, there actually is specific plans. I know of one company. We don't have the product, but we may put this on our site because Japan is fairly popular. That covers Japan specifically because if you do get hospitalized in Japan, Japanese do not want to share a hospital room with foreigners, not just Americans, but foreigners. So,
Really?
mhm, mhm. I
I
found
mean,
that
I do
out.
like my own hospital room, so I totally get that. I totally get that. I don't really wanna
I thought
share with
that was
anybody at
interesting.
all.
Um,
Really? Okay.
yeah, yeah. So that's just an interesting thing that I learned within the last couple of months. But as far as any sort of other type of travel, think about time of year you're traveling. So, will there be weather concerns? Because it comes down to when are you traveling, where are you going, what are you personally concerned about? So, it's destination matters, yes, but it also comes down to things like so for your parents, pre existing medical conditions. Do I have
Mhm.
pre existing coverage? How far does it look back? What are the conditions around? Um, Traveling, right? So again, complex purchase and each trip is different depending upon, where you're going, who you're traveling with. So I hope
And that's
that's
a good
helpful.
point too. You just mentioned time of year. I know that when I mean, when I travel during summer, when it's really, really busy is when I get diverted a lot, or
Hmm.
winter weather, that I none of us can control. Uh, that seems to be those time frames when I tend to, yeah, gonna get stuck, and, that's when I need the insurance. And speaking of that, does so this is a big thing. Is weather if I was diverted,
Hmm.
during a storm, and it's what do you call they call it God, when they can't they don't what is the word I'm, like, kind
Not
of
an
trying
act
to
of
come up.
God.
Thank you, thank you. An act of God, is that covered by insurance? Because I got diverted, like Colorado, whenever I fly through there in winter, I tend to get a little more diverted.
Yeah, so you want to make sure that whatever coverage you have, that if weather is a concern, first and foremost, make sure that there's some sort of warning language or something in there related to weather, because not all insurance policies are the same when it comes to weather-related delays or cancellations. So that's my first piece of advice there, because not all plans are created equal. And yeah, I
Would you suggest, like, when you talk to this advisor that you have a list of, "Okay, I'm gonna go in winter, and so that I definitely want coverage there, and I have some medical issues, and I want coverage there," and maybe giving them a list, and they'll say, "Okay,
yes,
this is the plan that you probably want." Would that be a
100%.
good approach?
100%. So,
Okay.
hurricanes are a big deal. The biggest thing with insurance is, you may have heard this, where you need to buy the insurance before it's a named event. So whether it's a named
Yes.
storm or it's a name. So once a storm has been named, even if it's like a tropical depression, once it's identified, it's a known event. So that means if you buy insurance, even if the insurance has coverage, you are not covered because you bought it after the fact. So even things like what happened in Israel. So if you remember, it was October timeframe, and once that was a known situation, people that are traveling to Israel, if they buy insurance now, anything related to that terrorist activity isn't going to be covered because it's now known. So there's different things just to keep in mind that
Yeah.
when you're thinking about insurance. That's why we always say this minute you put down the first dollar on a trip is when you should be looking at insurance.
Absolutely, and that happened to me where I think it was a hurricane that was coming in somewhere, and once, like you said, I was like, "Oh, I should buy travel insurance now because there's a hurricane coming," and it was too late. It was too late because they had named a hurricane. I don't know the name of it, let's say Hurricane Ian, and it was in the news, and of course, that's when I thought about it back in the day when I didn't buy travel insurance, but I finally went, "Oh, I have to buy it the second I book my trip because it's not
Yeah.
known yet." Yeah, of course, everybody runs out when it's known, right? And I'm like, "Oh,
Well,
I
it's
should have
like
bought it."
I run into a tree. Hey, I should have had car insurance. Hey, can you get me insurance? I think that's like the
Exactly.
best example I can give, because that resonates with people. It's sort of like when people return from travel and it's like, oh, I want my premium back because I didn't use it. And it's like, yeah, but you were covered. You were covered the entire time. So that's use of policy, right? So
Right.
it's just interesting, the lack of understanding that's still exists with travel insurance, especially during COVID. We got so much coverage and press, and people had to buy it to go places because it was required by the countries they wanted to go to. There are still countries that travel insurance is required. Um, so all of the Schengen countries, there's a whole list of Schengen. It's called Schengen visa. They require a certain amount of emergency medical. The whole idea is they don't want foreign visitors preying on their medical services,
Mm.
right? And that's what happens is, like, you can give a bill, and then if someone doesn't pay it, well, you're out that money. So, and we may see more countries headed in that direction of where they have that requirement to enter the country.
That makes sense because you can go back home and maybe ignore the bills, and then they're out, right? Because they have
Exactly.
no way to kind of find you and get to you. So yeah, so the minute that you book your trip is when you should book that insurance.
And don't check the box. Don't
Okay,
check. Don't buy that stuff.
I was
Don't buy it.
just gonna ask you about that. The box, when you book the trip,
Mhm.
there's just one company you can choose from. At least I fly American. I don't know about the other airlines, but,
Yes.
there's one company. So what do? You don't check the box, and you've just booked your trip. Do you go to, like, InsureMyTrip and just, again, give them that list and say, "This is what I need," or, "This is what I need covered?" What how would you do that as an add-on?
Right. So
'Cause
it's post
it's so
purchase
easy to check that
retail
box.
market. It's so convenient. It's convenience that most people, they're doing it because it's convenient. It's there. A lot of times there's scare tactics involved, saying like, "Do you really want to put that money at
Mhm.
risk?" The the issue with those products is they're watered down compared to the retail market. because they have less benefits, they have less things that they less covered reasons. And so what happens is people go to file a claim, they find out, oh, that wasn't actually covered. So if you are going to check the box, at least know what you're buying, right? And they make it very difficult to find out what actually is covered. I'm not going to say it's in 10, but, and that's true for any point of sale insurance offering, is they are dialed down product. You can buy a post a retail market plan. So at InsureMyTrip or directly from the insurer for less money that has more value. That's my biggest takeaway for that. Like, you can buy a way better product with a lot more coverage for the same or less than what you're paying for that point of sale convenience.
It's so funny because it is there, that little box that said, "Are you sure you don't want this insurance? You're sure about this, right?" I mean, yeah, it's probably a bad idea. And you're like, "Oh, no, I don't know." And people are busy, so it's easier for them to check that box. How easy
100%.
it is, yeah, it is, but again, like you said, you might check the box and, your baggage is lost and it wasn't covered. I don't know what the situation is,
Mm-hmm.
but the fine print is what you have to read. So how hard is
Absolutely.
it though, or how easy is it? Maybe that's a better question. To, book that trip, and now you've got the tickets. Now they've got to go to Insure My Trip. And is it pretty easy? Is it pretty seamless to give that information to these insurance companies once you're saying, okay, I'm going to go get the insurance I really need?
Right. I mean, the quote process is pretty painless, and I'm going to say pretty much all of them have similarities. What are your dates of travel? What are the ages of your travelers? Where are you going? How long are you going for? That sort of thing. So the information that is asked for is pretty basic. And then you just run a quote. And for us, we'll show you all of the possible matches to your criteria. And then you can compare side by side comparisons of what each product has to offer. And then if that's not working for you, you can call an agent, you can live chat with agents. So we have proactive chat. I know some of the younger generations don't want to actually talk to a human, but they like to chat. So
Yeah, no, I know. I've got a 23 and 20-year-old, so they wouldn't call an actual person. No, that would
no.
never happen. Yeah, I mean, I don't get it, but that's just how they communicate, so, oh well.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna do that. Okay, so just one last question before we talk about where people can go. What is it cost, like an average cost? I know it varies. If
Yeah.
somebody wants to go on a domestic trip and, again, go to Texas, or like, we're going on the family trip to Ireland. My parents don't travel that much. They go once a year, versus also me, a full year of traveling. I mean, I
Yeah.
know it's variable, but, like, what does that kind of look like?
Yeah. So if you're talking comprehensive travel products, those are the ones that have the post-departure benefits as well as the pre-departure benefits. That's usually 5 to 10% of trip costs. So whatever you're insuring. And if you do have a $0 trip cost, you can still get those types of policies. You're not going to get any money back for trip cancellation, but you'll still have certain pre and post departure benefits. So those typically will run maybe $40, $50. And then if you just want post departure emergency medical coverage, so you're not worried about getting any money back for cancellation or interruption. Because remember, those policies also, while you're traveling, if you have to leave early, there's coverage. So if you lose out on part of your trip. But if you're just buying the post departure stuff, they can be as cheap as $20, 20,
Really?
$25. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And have,
Wow.
$100,000 in emergency medical and 500,000 in evacuation. So these are the things that it's like, it's not expensive. And so I get that it's discretionary purchase. It's not required, but look, for peace of mind and all the other things we've talked about, it's not expensive. Just know what you're buying, understand what your concerns are, and buy the insurance.
Oh, okay, so I am a huge advocate, as you know. I have actually lost, I wanna say hundreds, but it's not hundreds, thousands of dollars when I didn't have the insurance, literally. And I try not to think about it because it was a really bad idea that I didn't do it at the time. But that insurance would have paid off, I mean, over and over again. So I'm a huge
Right.
advocate of travel insurance. But where can people find more information, Suzanne, about where they can go to insure their trip and compare
Onto
the
our
costs?
site, InsureMyTrip.com.
Pretty easy.
Yeah, yeah. So
InsureMyTrip.com. Yeah, you guys do it, put everything on credit card, and, yeah, it's worth it for peace of mind and, getting your money back. I
I'm a
always like that.
convert. I do not travel without insurance. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
I'm a convert.
we both
So
learned, right? We both learned. We
yep,
learned the hard way, but now we know.
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely, 100%.
Thanks. Alright, thanks, Suzanne. I loved having you on the show, really appreciate it, and,
Thank
yeah,
you.
I think you were awesome, so
Thank
thank you.
you. Thank you. It's so nice to be on, and thank you for having me.
Well, I'm gonna get more people to insure their trips. There you go.
Yeah. Yes, please.
And it's not sponsored, everybody. This is all
Nope.
editorial.
Nope. We want to get educate, even if they don't buy from us, just buy the insurance. Like,
Yeah, I
please.
agree. I agree. I agree. All right. I don't know about you all, but I just learned a whole lot about insurance. I never thought I'd say I'd want to learn about insurance, but I did, and it was awesome. So I'm really glad Suzanne was on the show, helped clarify a lot of details about why you want travel insurance and why you want to book that immediately. Anyway, thank you for listening to Round Trip. For more inspiration, follow us on at Round Trip Colleen Kelly on all socials. You can also visit roundtripcolleenkelly.com for more information and travel articles. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you actually can reach us at roundtripcolleenkelly@gmail.com. And finally, if you like what you hear, please follow, subscribe, and leave us a comment here as you listen. I am so glad you're here. Thank you for being here. And yeah, enjoy your day.